Hello everyone, the lens I'm discussing this time seems to be one of the best 85mm lenses you can buy. This lens is a high quality lens, a professional lens as they say. But don't worry because the price isn't too expensive. The Meike 85mm f1.4 lens I'm holding here is the second generation of this lens. Previously, I have reviewed the first generation 85mm lens. The image quality is already very good. But this 85mm lens is even more perfect in various aspects, from its optical quality, autofocus performance, and also its body design. This lens is made for full-frame mirrorless camera systems, so it's for Sony, Nikon Z, and also L mount. The first time I held this new lens, its size and weight felt noticeably different. The first generation one was bigger and also heavier. This new one is only 11 cm long, about 1.7 cm shorter, and weighs 650 grams. It's about 85 grams lighter. The list has also changed. The one I'm reviewing this time is white, but the aperture ring and also the manual focus is black. The maker calls it the black and white edition. Personally, I prefer to call it the Panda Edition. Of course, there are all black and all white color variants if you want a lens that looks more understated. The lens settings are quite complete. There's an aperture ring that can be locked and it can also be set to click or declick mode. There's a function button and an autofocus manual focus switch. And of course, there's also a manual focus ring. A lens suit that matches the color of the body, which is white, is also included in the purchase package. The lens suit is made of plastic and the body is made of metal. On the front of the lens, we can attach a 77mm filter, which is considered large but not the largest. On the back of the lens, there's a USB-C port and a gasket to prevent water from entering the camera. I'm reviewing this lens on the Sony A7 V camera. I can see that the image results are already very sharp at its widest aperture, f1.4. The depth of field is very shallow. If we focus on the right eye, the left eye is already out of focus. The minimum focusing distance can be closer than the previous generation, from 1 meter to just 80 centimeters, just 1 cm for the lens. So with this second generation lens, we have more flexibility for close-up photography. The optical design has 15 elements in 11 groups, 2 elements more than the first generation. Reportedly, the design is equivalent to an apochromatic or apo design. So the sharpness of this lens is very high and the chromatic aberration is either non-existent or almost non-existent. I've already tried looking at the photo results in high contrast situations. For example, when there's very strong sunlight behind the subject, but I didn't find any chromatic aberration in the photo. Now that's really amazing. Now in strong backlight conditions, it's usually a challenge or a nightmare for every lens. When I look at the photo results, they're indeed a bit hazier and the colors are also a bit more faded. But I see that the detail and micro contrast are still very good and the flare is also very minimal. In my opinion, the quality is indeed not inferior to professional lenses from first-party manufacturers like from Sony, Canon, or Nikon. I tried this lens with Info Photography's new camera, the Sony A7 V, which has a resolution of 33 MP. And I saw that the results were quite evenly sharp from the center to the edges of the photo. So the position of the subject, wherever we want to place it, it's not a problem. The sharpness remains consistent. For the tone and color, I use the S Cinetone profile. For the skin tone and the overall tone, it's not too contrasty. It seems really suitable for portrait photos. This S Cinetone will be applied to images in JPEG or JPG format. Besides that, I also turned on the soft skin effect to medium or mid, so our model's face looks smoother than in reality. Maybe next time we should just use low. I think that's enough. Especially since our model Bella already has smooth skin. Actually, I wanted to test this lens with the Sony A7 R6, which has a very high resolution of 67 MP. But since the camera isn't available yet, I'm using the Sony A7 V for now. Maybe in the future, I'll try it with the 7 R6. But when I look at the photo quality on my camera, the results are already really great. So if we use it on a camera with a higher resolution, it shouldn't be a problem. This lens can resolve it. And the results will definitely have incredible detail because they also said that this lens was designed for that, for cameras with high resolution. I also noticed that the skin tones are now neutral. If you compare it to the first generation Meike 85mm f1.4, the color tends to be yellowish. As for the autofocus, when it's attached to the A7 V, I find it to be very smooth. It's silent, no noise at all. And even when photographing moving subjects, I find it really good. It's very smooth. If the subject's face and eyes aren't visible, the camera will detect and lock focus on the head or body. If the camera can detect the subject, it will focus. The lens will definitely be able to lock on very quickly. Meike calls the autofocus technology in this second generation lens Hyper STM. When Meike launched the first generation 85mm f1.4, it was about 3 years ago, in 2023. I was quite surprised to see how sharp the photos were in the center. The bokeh was smooth and the autofocus was also reliable. But I felt there was something missing, like the size was a bit too big. The color isn't neutral and the lens mechanism is sometimes not smooth, but now I'm very happy because Meike has fixed everything I complained about in the previous review. If you ask me what I think is lacking in this lens, maybe it's the size. If only it could be a little more compact and also a little lighter. That would be even better because when you attach it to a Sony camera, there's very little space between the lens and my fingers. Then in terms of price, I also noticed there's an increase. It's about $100 more. And if you convert it to rupiah, since our exchange rate isn't doing well right now, the difference is about 1.8 million rupiah. That's quite a lot, especially for friends with a limited budget. But if we compare it to first-party lenses, this lens is still much cheaper. It's only about a third of the price, or about a 60% discount. That's pretty significant. In my opinion, the Meike 85mm f1.4 second generation lens is really worth it. The quality is very high. It's suitable for friends who love photography or professionals. For those looking for a more affordable 85mm lens alternative. Thank you for watching this video until the end. If you find this information helpful, support Info Photography by liking, subscribing, and commenting on this video. See you again in the next video, okay? Bye.